Hello for keys, this is day 14 of me playing chess every day until I reach the rapid rating of 2500. So here we go. We'll play a 15 plus 10 rapid game, so here we go. Yesterday or 2 days ago actually I had the white pieces and I decided to play 15 plus 10 from now on because I can explain my moves in much greater depth and there is no time limitation because I have the bonus 10 seconds gained every single move. That means that I can play slower, I can talk more, and I have the black pieces against a lower rated opponent, but this is good. This is good. My opponent is from Germany, d4, d5. This is my favorite opening against pawn to d4, but I am preparing knight to f6 on the first move of the game, so this is my opening prep, secret prep if I say so. So knight f3, knight f6, this is just regular stuff, maybe c4, but c3 is played. Interesting, c3 is not very popular move actually. And now maybe just developing the bishop, queen b3, what happens then? c5 is definitely a move here. This maybe will be a London, maybe. So maybe just c5, but then bishop, what happens after bishop to f5? Just c5, right? c5, very aggressively trying to gain some central control and of course initiative. And now bishop to f4 is still a London position after, but my opponent takes the pawn, which is kind of weird actually. Now maybe queen c7 or e6 trying to get the pawn, but then a4 happens. So how to actually reject this move? I have a lot of time, so that means that I will be able to think, which is good for me because I play slowly. e6 and e6, there is b4 actually. So a5, a6 and knight to c6. Then b5. b5 happens. And then what? Maybe I can start with e6. b4, knight c6, threatening a5. I mean a5 right away can be played, stopping b4. But is it really stopping b4? a4, there is queen a5. So I guess e6. Just threatening a pawn, and if something like bishop f4, then my position is after bishop takes c5. Very good. So maybe queen d4 is too bad because yes, this is bad actually. Wow, my opponent is playing this very... No, you cannot develop like this because g3 and bishop g2 is just too bad. In this position I think bishop e3 is a crucial mistake. And now simply knight to c6. Or maybe queen to a5, just winning my pawn back. How to deal? Maybe knight d7 actually. Knight d7, forcing pawn to b4. And then what? e5? No, not really. So maybe there is queen to c7. And if here, then I have here. So after queen c7, probably b4 has to be played. And this is just too risky. I can just develop probably with bishop to d7 or bishop to e7. And then I'm trying to play b6 when the knight moves. Then the pawn would be hanging. And this is... just queen c7 developing. This is simply developing. Because my knight will usually go to c6 in this position. So knight to d7 is perhaps not the best idea actually. So queen c7. Just developing, taking this diagonal for me. There is no bishop f4 now. Attacking the pawn, so b4 has to be played, I believe. Because queen d4 is just bad. I just developed so big initiative in this position. I will have such a big lead in development that my position would be much better if queen d4 happens. But there is simply knight d2 as well. Just trying to develop and giving this pawn back. Like this. And then knight b3 maybe. But I have a great central control here. So I believe my position is slightly better out of the opening if I will be able to win this pawn back. This pawn on c5. And if not, I will gain a big development advantage. Because now g3 perhaps the only reasonable developing plan for this light square bishop from f1. How will you develop? e3 cannot be played because this bishop is already on e3. So b4 played. b4 played, very aggressive I believe. Now a5 can be tried. Taking and then knight c6. b6 is always an option here, but I don't really believe in b6 right away. b6, there is a5, a3 takes, and then I have nothing. So maybe knight c6 firstly. Yes, I believe knight to c6 is the best move. Why? Because if b5 happens, I have here. If queen a4, I have here. And this does not win my queen, but it is super scary. Knight c6, b4. Here, queen a4. I go here. Check. I go here. Takes. My position is much better. Why? This pawn is weak. I will play knight d7, pick up this pawn. So knight c6, b5 doesn't work because knight a5. I like this move. Do I like this move? Knight c6, knight d2, a5, b5. I'm not sure. I'm really not. How to play this position actually? Maybe bishop d7, bishop b5. An idea, of course, controlling b4, b5 square, and of course then a5 maybe. a5. How to play this position? I need to play faster because I'm down to 10 minutes already. Bishop d7 looks correct because this bishop will ultimately go to d7. Bishop d7 controlling the square. Maybe going to c4 actually in some positions and keeping my options open. b6 always a big part of my plan, of course, because after takes there will be checks on c3 in some positions. For example, knight to a3 loses the game on the spot. Of course my opponent won't play knight a3, but it would be a losing blunder. After b6 takes, this would simply be fork on everything, and my name is Fork Chess. So now you must smash this subscribe button down below. Thank you guys, it would really help me out. So knight e3 of course loses the game, but this is like the only move that loses the game on the spot, and g3 was played. Very reasonable option. g3 staying flexible for bishop g2. a5. That's just what I want to play. I really want to trade these pawns off the board, or maybe not off the board, but I mean knight c6 always looks so correct. And a5 b5, then I have knight e5, and if here then I go here with check. Yes, so a5, if knight d2 I simply play here. This just looks correct. And now my opponent will probably develop with bishop to g2. But after knight to c6, I believe my position is better because b5 cannot be played. And this is crucial move. So probably knight to d2 is now forced. And maybe my position is just worse. Because after knight to d2, a3 can be played sufficiently. Because the rook is defended here. Maybe that's the point. Knight to d2 is very good move in this position. Maybe bishop d7 was a critical mistake, but I spent 2 minutes on this move, so That's really bad. Bishop d7 was a mistake because knight d2 can be played. But if I would play a5, then just knight d2 right away. So maybe I will analyze this game because this pawn on c5 is just what? I don't understand this position very well. So a3 can be played. a3 can be played. Definitely. And after knight c6, knight d2 can be tried. Definitely. But I always have b6 in some positions. Maybe knight d2 and then b6. And if he takes, I take and then I lose the game probably. I mean, I will just develop. I will play bishop e7, I will castle. And these pawns on the queen side will be loose to the end of the game. Although my opponent has an extra pawn, I will try to attack him. I will try to open up the queen side and make these pawns a big weaknesses here on the queen side. So this is my plan. Now you know what my plan is. But what will my opponent do? Knight d2, very good move. a6, oh, excuse me, a3, very good move. Bishop g2 probably loses the pawn on c5. But so what? I will play bishop to b5, have a giant control over these dark squares, excuse me, these light squares of course, because this bishop on g2 is doing perfectly nothing. Definitely this bishop will be just bad, staring at this knight and this pawn, which won't go anywhere. c4 can't be played. Row c4, of course, it looks nice, but what about b4? b4 will drop eventually if c4 will be played, so c4 is out of question. So bishop g2 will be bad piece, and bishop h3 can be thinkable, if I say so, because this bishop on h3 maybe will do something. Maybe I can't play e5 in the future, because e5 is my plan in some positions. e5, d4 or e4, and I have gigantic, how do you pronounce that in English? I have no idea. I have this giant center here with my pawns on light squares, and I mean, I'm fighting against this bishop, and this bishop is simply staring at this pawn. I will play if b6 maybe, then bishop d6, maybe I have something on this diagonal. I will attack the king. The king cannot go to queen side, look at this space here. So my opponent's still thinking. And the time will be leveled. Maybe a3. I believe a3 is the best move in the position. And after knight to c6, then knight d2 must be played. Definitely. But in some positions I can even take. And then maybe knight e5. Excuse me. My arrows are disgusting. Then bishop to b5 is always an idea. And just blockade these pawns on the light square color complex. As you can see, my opponent still thinking. That means that he is unsure what to do. Of course, I spent a lot of time because I am thinking loud. I am speaking what is going through my head. So this is kind of different. Me spending time and my opponent spending time. And we made only 7 moves and we both spent like 6 minutes. So this is insanely bad. Bishop f4. Okay. Bishop f4, just improving the bishop. I get it, but I don't believe you. Bishop f4, I didn't really see that move. Just queen c6, right? Or queen c8? That's now the question actually. Queen c8 looks bad if I'm honest, but it gives a square for the knight. Interesting. I believe queen c8 is the best. You know why? Because I have e5 ideas opening up this diagonal, so just queen c8. I need to play faster. Maybe my opponent spent almost 5 minutes on bishop to f4. Maybe queen to c6 was a bit better. Of course, going back to d8 is not logical. In my opinion, maybe the computer wants queen d8 or queen to c6. But I mean, these moves are all roughly the same. So spending too much time on like minimal differences over moves is bad. I mean, I need time for complex positions like a3, knight d2, what will I play? And just spending 10 minutes calculating which queen move out of these three is the best is very bad time management. Maybe queen c8 was a little bit better by the computer, but why would you spend 5 minutes just for like small piece of advantage in your rapid game? Maybe yes, in classical game I would think maybe queen d8 because I have knight h5 ideas followed by, I don't know, queen g5 in some details in the future, but in a rapid game you need to play fast, you need to manage your time better than your opponent, and spending 5 minutes on bishop to f4, you can play this move instantly. It is a tempo move on my queen, I missed this move, just play it. I don't know what my opponent was calculating, because after bishop f4, now he is spending 2 minutes once again. Okay, knight to e5, you are not developing your pieces. Now I will simply play knight to c6. And then maybe take with the queen, maybe not. Maybe I can simply take the pawn. Play bishop to a4, saving my bishop. The queen is almost out of squares. This was my idea, but then my opponent can take. But if my opponent will take the bishop, I will take back with the knight, I guess. Playing for e5. So maybe I just take the pawn. Maybe not. I mean, what if I just develop? Yes, I will just develop. Why not? Bishop e7, not spending too much time. Bishop e7, trying to castle. If my opponent were to take the bishop, I would take back with the knight. And my opponent still has these doubled c-pawns, which are the material advantage in this position. Now I will just develop. Why not? Play quickly. Even though this is 15 plus 10, some moves that are natural can be played quicker than others. Like taking the pawn next move, playing bishop a4, which almost traps the queen. What? This is an idea, because my bishop on d7 is now doing perfectly nothing. Well, knight b3 looks like a weird move, if I'm completely honest. What? Maybe going to d4 is an idea, but now I can take and maybe knight c6, maybe taking, and then maybe taking with the b pawn. No, because the b8 is protected. Knight c6, taking back with the queen looks nice. Just pre-moving, you can pre-move in rapid as well, why not? Maybe taking with the bishop is okay, but putting some pressure on the pawn is good as well. And b6 in some positions, isolating this b4 pawn can win my pawn back that I gave on move 3. So, I mean, I have 4 pieces out, I'm castled, my opponent has 3 pieces out and he is not castled. So I have something to play for in this position. Maybe taking the knight is good, then playing b6, check, knight d2 forced, then I take back, attacking this pawn, so I have something to play for, most definitely. Takes, and then b6. Oh, maybe I missed this idea. Takes, b6, if takes, I have check, bishop d2 probably forced, although this is now even better, takes. But of course now I'm attacking this pawn, you need to do something with this pawn. Maybe queen d2, but queen d2, why? Why would you play queen to d2, allowing knight to e4 to come with tempo? My opponent has some things to consider now. If queen d2, I take, takes, knight e4, winning the pawn here on b4, and this pawn will fall and then his position will crumble. My opponent still thinking. This is almost insane. This is move 11 of the game. He spent like 9 minutes already. Half of his time. This is wild. I don't know his position. I never studied c5 on move 3 against like pawn to c3 or what my opponent played. So I will spend a lot of time, but I mean time advantage even in 15 plus 10 games is really important. My opponent's still thinking. Maybe he is thinking about e3 but to develop to b5, but h6 g5. This is weird. Just bishop g2, just... Of course e3 loses the pawn, or does it? Then there is takes. Takes. Here. I mean, this is just complicated, so calculating moves in advanced is bad. You need to play like... You need to observe the position and then calculate moves on your time. But when your opponent is thinking, you shouldn't just walk around the playing hall. You should be observing the position. What is going on? What is under attack? What will happen? What is my idea? h6 g5. Maybe playing e5 in the future. Bishop h3. Trading this bishop. Attacking the king. Knight g4. Checkmate on h2 even. But knight to d4 was played. This looks weird, if I'm honest. This doesn't look correct to me. Why not? Because I can take. After takes, well, I can take this. Oh wait. This is huge blunder. Wait, this is blunder. My opponent just blundered with knight to d4. I can take the knight, and after takes, I can take the pawn, and after he takes, maybe it's not a blunder, but I have b6, most definitely. You cannot take because I give checkmate to you. I'm not winning the rook, I give mate to you. Win d2, check, here is checkmate. So, takes, the pawn, takes, and b6. Or just taking, right? Oh, is his idea after b6 to push? But why would you do that? No, this cannot be your idea. I will take, and after takes I will play b6. Right away or taking and playing b6? What's the difference? That's what I'm trying to calculate right now. What's the difference between taking and playing b6 or just playing b6? Taking and play b6 looks far more natural. Although, why would you undouble these pawns? b6 doesn't allow a rook to c1. Yes, if I take, b6 there is rook c1, takes, there is takes. So just b6, if takes, if pushes then I take, he takes, I take. Rook c1, I take, he takes, I take with check, winning the game. Because this would be checkmate. b6, right away. b6, ooh, b6, bishop d6 doesn't work because I have check picking up the rook, which is fork, so now you have to subscribe, guys. b6, c6, takes, doesn't work, b6. And now my opponent, I believe, missed that move, b6, attacking the pawn. You cannot defend the pawn. Maybe you can take, but then I take with the queen, threatening mate once again. Not just winning the rook, because after takes, I threaten this, here, and bishop to b4 would be checkmate on the king. So, my opponent now thinking this was a surprise for him. And yes, this is what happens if your pawns look like this. These pawns are really weak here. Why? Because, yes, maybe b4 is okay, it's strong pawn on b4, but if you don't protect the base of your pawn pawn chain, which is c3 of course, then bad things will happen. Now you cannot take because the c3 is undefended. If rook were on c1, completely different story. Although in this position still it would be lost, but a3 rook c1, the position is much better for white. So my opponent still thinking down to 3 minutes and a half, but of course with every move me and my opponent both gain 10 seconds. And of course my opponent is underrated. He is, in comparison to me, he has 100 rating points less than me, which means he is much weaker. In Rapid we can just check out his profile. He joined last year. Okay, this means absolutely nothing, so maybe a3 can be played, but takes. This doesn't look good for my opponent. I am coming with knight e4 attacking the c3. That's bad for my opponent. f6. Oh, after knight to e5 I'm winning. I mean, this is kind of logical because, but I have f6, bishop e4 and another pawn fork here. On the bishop and on the knight, another fork. You need to subscribe once again if you haven't already. So, my opponent down to 2 minutes and a half. I'm speaking too much. Yes, I know, but it doesn't matter. If I win the game, it doesn't matter. Maybe c6 can be tried. And then the bishop protects the pawn. I guess this is the only option. Pawn to c6, takes, and the bishop protects the pawn. But then there is still this problem to face. Hard times for my opponent. I mean, he just could simply resign at this point. That's not out of the question, but with 1 minute 50 seconds, this is hard to defend this position. And only 13 moves into the game. And as I mentioned, I have big lead in development. All of my pieces are doing something, for except for this rook being on f8 at the moment. But look at his pieces. This queen is bad on d1. This rook doesn't do absolutely nothing. This bishop, horrendous piece. This rook, okay, let's not just talk about it. I guess this bishop and this knight are both kinda okay, but I have whole army doing something. This queen, yes, this cannot work. This cannot work, you know why? Because I take, and then I play something like knight e5, f6, and there is fork. So simply takes. Maybe here, but no. I will just take. Takes, if I... Yes, but... I'm up a pawn, knight e5, f6 on the way. Knight b3 I guess can be played, but... This is... Because the bishop of course protects the pawn, but... This is just bad position for my opponent. Yes, the material is balanced, but... Come on. Knight e5 on the way. Knight e4, excuse me, f6, e5, trapping the bishop simply. My opponent down to 1 minute on the clock. This is bad. Knight b3, yes, the only move in the position that do something. But this is not playable. This is just not playable for my opponent. Look at these horrendous pawns. I mean, this bishop is doing absolutely nothing. Now he has to defend the c3 pawn. Maybe knight b3, yes, but you cannot spend like half a minute after you spend like 4 minutes. You need to calculate moves in further, in advance. You cannot spend 10 minutes on the move and then, oh, my opponent did this, what can I do now? This doesn't work like this. Queen c7, no. Queen c7. Be careful. There is queen c6. Oh my goodness, this is so good move. Queen c6. I mean, some hidden queen c6 and you have to play bishop. Oh, why did I do that? I thought I'm still holding my queen. bad. Bad, because now bishop g2 and his position is nice. But still, a5, a4 on the way. Yes, this loses on the spot because of a brilliant move. Pawn to d4. Pawn to d4 wins the game on the spot. There is nothing my opponent can do about it. Pawn to d4 simply wins the game. As some of the best grandmaster in the world would say, yes sir, of course, yes, the position is winning. I'm sorry, my imitation of Grandmaster Yasser is very bad, but okay. Pawn to d4, if takes, I take. Trading the queens, winning the game, so pawn to d4, there is no bishop e4, there is no queen f3, just castles, and then you resign, I guess. Because I am, yeah, but now I take. Bishop b4, nothing special to convert it. Rook c1, rook c8, excuse me. a4, I guess here, but and this was a knight d4 actually. But then e4, so you have to be careful about it. Okay, I guess I missed this move. I guess I missed this move actually. Because after takes, there is bishop h7. Okay, I guess I missed this. Because if I play h6, then simply takes. How to do that? Knight g4. Takes. I have absolutely nothing there. So, what can I do actually? Kinda hard position to play now. g6, very logical move. I mean, why not just h6, right? But then queen takes. That's the problem. But then knight d4, knight d5. What about just rook to c8? Rook c8. That should win the game on the spot, because after takes I take with the bishop there. This is completely over. Because I will play rook d8 here, my bishop will open up. Okay, I blundered. Great. Okay. Very bad. But how to do that actually? How not to lose material here? There is here. After takes. How? Yes, but... Yes, but this has to be losing for my opponent. You know why? Because I will put my queen on this long diagonal and will checkmate white. Most definitely. But how to do that? Just like this? Queen... No, queen d6 doesn't work because there is everything on the d file. Just queen to c7, I believe. Accept a draw. Are you kidding me? This position is much better for me. What is your problem? How dare you offer me a draw? How dare you? I mean, just how dare you offer me a draw in this position? Are you kidding me? You're going to offer me a draw in this position? Are you completely out of your mind? What? How dare you? I guess bishop takes h7 is the best move in the position actually. Not to take the rook. This is bad for my opponent. Maybe there is knight d4, but as I mentioned, bishop. Okay. I need to show some respect for my opponent, most definitely. e5. here. What about just rook to c8? But the fact is that if I get this win on this long diagonal, I should be able to win. So, rook c8, playing quickly. This is a bad move. Now I need to calculate. Takes, here, 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 here. Is there a defense to the checkmate? There is here. This is stressful, definitely. G6. I will take. And queen d6. There is no takes. Because I have here check. I'm controlling the square and will play a rook to c8. But now I am getting really stressed. Because he can escape, but then I pick up all the pawns. But this is still hard to play. If queen d3 I am winning, most definitely. But there is rook d1. Whew. Played with 1.2 seconds. Stressful. I don't want to give up this pawn, that's for a fact, so just queen d5. I will be talking class now because I'm getting down on time. If here... This doesn't work. What? My opponent flagged. Really? But my position is better. Yes. Because if just something like rook b3, there is bishop to c6. That was my idea. That was my idea. And if f3, queen f3. This should... Rook takes c3 is the only move, yes, but... Okay, so let's analyze the game. Pawn to d4 was played. Now pawn d5. Knight f3, knight f6. There is this move here. Pawn to e6 as well. Just after c4, just getting a normal position. And there is a Catalan, of course, which I'm now opening. Opening what? Now I'm learning the Catalan. I don't know how to speak, but pawn to c3 was played. And now pawn to c5. And this is okay, this is a line. And just for the record, bishop f4 would retranspose to the London system here with this line. For example, bishop f5, sacrificing the bishop. If it takes, I win the rook in the corner. So this is just one of the variations. And my opponent took the pawn. e6 is correct option. And now bishop e3 actually the best move. Queen c7, top engine move, and b4. And after b4, pawn to a5 is the correct option. What happens after pawn to a3? Just bishop e7, g3, castles, bishop g2. And now e5 going to... May not play e4, but just e5 controlling the center as much as you can. Logical. And this kinda happened in the game, but with some other move order. Bishop d7, g3. Something is lagging now. Okay, it's here. a5 was played. Logical move. And now bishop f4, queen c8. Maybe not the best move, but still. Now bishop e7. But I was... What? Takes. Takes. And now b6 is the best move. And what after takes? Oh, there is check here. Bishop d2, knight d2. I guess, but is this playable if you are human? I don't think so. I wouldn't play this position. This pawn is dangerous here. A4, A5 in some positions can happen, so I simply played bishop E7, which gives my opponent the biggest advantage of the game, I believe. Castles, and now my position is nice. Knight B3 a big mistake because of B6 once again, but... And finally this was the blunder, the ultimate blunder of the game, because I can play Knight takes C5. And then, wow, Knight G4 firstly. But okay, I played B6, which is still very good. Just winning the pawn here. And now Bishop D3, I should have played something like... Okay, D4 maybe not the best move, but still. Of course, an idea of E4 is that I'm attacking the rook. I'm attacking the pawn here, which is crucial. And now I simply took rook. C1 was the best move. And after queen to C2, I was getting kinda stressed. Why? Because he's threatening to take, and take. So I played rook F C8, which is still okay, but now there is bishop to E4. Wait, queen A6 is the best move. Why? Why the hell queen A6 is the best move? Okay, I really don't know anything about chess. Queen C7. And now this position is better for me after queen D6. No way. I'm losing here. Rook B3. Here. Here, here. What? Oh, there is F3. Oh my goodness. I blundered. Oi, oi. But okay. But wait, what? Rook here, I play here. And now rook, of course. Pinning and winning, as they say. But still, I'm not sure this is so winning. I mean, look at this diagonal. If I can exploit these light squares around the king, I should be better. But okay, rook f to d1 was played as I calculated, and now I'm simply winning here. And here my opponent played f3, and after I took the pawn... No, wait, what? After queen d5, they flagged, yes, and I have the analysis that I showed you earlier still in the game. So guys, this was game 14 of my journey to achieving the 2500 rated player. Wow, I don't know how to speak. Once again. So guys, this was day 14 of me playing chess every day until I reached the rapid rating of 2500. Better, but still. So if you like the video, please consider subscribing, it would really help me out, and see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.